Ladies and gentlemen, Blake Can Shake is here. I've been doing a lot of shorts lately, and to be honest with you, I enjoy doing shorts, but I want to get better at making videos, so you're going to see a little bit of both in the future. So I'm still trying to... you guys don't care. So anyway, welcome to today's video, and today I want to talk about, the top 5 things about Korean culture that fascinate me. Once again, as I mentioned in the past, I'm not here to say anything bad about South Korea. It's just, I know that I'm not the only foreigner that's going to stay here in the future. And whether you come here to work, or be a student, or just to maybe just go on vacation for a few months. This information, I think, from my perspective, might be of use to you. So just don't get too offended. I'm not trying to offend anybody. So anyway, I want to talk about the first thing about Korean culture that fascinates me. Now, when you go to the bathroom, we all poop, we all pee, we all gotta wash our hands, right? You wipe your butt, you touch your whatever. Those hands need to be cleaned. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know about the women's bathroom, but in the men's bathroom, very often, and I mean very often, mostly old men, sometimes younger people, mostly the older generation, you'll see people go to the bathroom, they'll pee or they'll poop, and literally they'll just walk out the window. Quite fascinating, right? Someone can just wipe their butt, touch their you-know-what, and just have dirty bacteria on their hands, and they don't wash it. That's very common, and I've gotten used to it, but even when I see that now, I always think, it's a little just cringy for me, but that is something that fascinates me. Even working at schools, or even when I was working at Hagwons, very often I saw kids just not wash their hands. So I don't know. I'm not going to speak ignorantly. I don't know if it's just something they're not taught, but many people don't wash their hands. And anyway, second thing that kind of I find fascinating about Korean culture is the Korean ladies. They tend to speak an aegyo, which is a baby style cute way of talking. So a lot of girls talk like that, and even like when they're not even when they're irritated, they can speak like and like even when they're with their boyfriends, you'll hear often even when they're with their friends. Jinja, jinja. Sorry, my voice is a little weak. I have COVID, but like in American culture or English in general. Oh really? Oh really? Really? But in Korean, a lot of women and men. Jinja. Imagine the women in their high voices. Jinja. 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 So that's another thing. Now, I know that we've been dealing with COVID the past few years, and many places still require Koreans. In fact, in Korea, you have to wear a mask indoors. Anywhere you go indoors, you have to wear a mask. But even before COVID, I'm a foreigner, and I have my personal opinions on wearing a mask all the time. But for many Koreans, wearing a mask is like a relief, because even before COVID came, a lot of Koreans will wear a mask to hide their face. As some of you may know, which I will talk about later, appearance is a big deal in South Korea. I will talk about this later. But essentially, a lot of Korean ladies feel like wearing a mask, and guys too, but they can hide their face. They don't have to feel insecure about their face. So for many people, wearing a mask is no problem, because they can hide their face. And I find that very fascinating because self-explanatory. It's just interesting. Another thing, this is a big one, okay, is there's not really any trash cans in South Korea. A thing that I find fascinating about Korean culture is there's no trash cans. So like where I come from, you take your trash out, there's like a dumpster, okay? And here in Korea, it's very hard to find trash cans. Very often, anywhere you go, outside on the sidewalk, you see a lot of trash mounted on top of each other. The neighborhood I live in, sometimes you'll see like a big mountain of trash bags on top of each other. And they'll be there for days and days and days. So it's not like they put their trash in dumpsters. They leave it outside for a while. Then the garbage man will come and take it somewhere. But until that happens, you very often will see trash bags mounted on top of each other. So I find that interesting. I mean, it's kind of interesting because I also don't see rats very often, rats and mice. So that is something I don't see often. Another thing I wanted to talk about, and the last thing, or second to last thing I wanted to talk about is Korean people in general, okay? Whether you're in Seoul or any big city, or any city in general. In Seoul, people are better at English, but in general, a lot of Koreans are extremely shy when it comes to speaking in English. Like, so much to the point where the women try to speak in English to you. So, like, when I first came to Korea almost 4 years ago, the first 2 or 3 months I was here was very hard. And I didn't know how to read Korean. I didn't know how to speak anything, not even basic words. And so I would very often have my cell phone and, like, approach people with Google Translate. And a lot of people would just ignore me or very awkwardly walk away. And yeah, there were some people that actually tried to help, but the majority of people were just unwilling to speak to me. And looking back on that, I don't think Koreans are heartless people who just are cold-hearted. I genuinely think the thought of speaking to a foreigner scares them. I mean, you could even go to a restaurant or go to a cafe, and very often you can feel the nervous energy, like, oh, I got to speak to a foreigner. And, you know, like, only a crazy person is going to judge someone for struggling to speak in English. I mean, we foreigners don't care if you're good at English. We just, you know, just like we'd hope that you wouldn't judge us for struggling to speak Korean. So I think in this culture, there's a little bit of a too much emphasis on being good at English, to the point where they become a little too scared of speaking English. So that's a cultural thing. If you come to Korea, if you get rejected by a Korean you try to approach, chances are it's just because they're afraid to speak in English. It's not because they hate you. And the last thing I wanted to talk about, which this kind of goes off the mask thing. Like I mentioned that people wear masks because, you know, they want to hide their face. Well, in Korea, there's a reason for that. There's too much of an emphasis on appearance in Korea. Korean ladies feel so much pressure to look good that a lot of them get plastic surgery. You go to Seoul or any big city, a lot of Korean ladies get plastic surgery. Some guys get plastic surgery too. But here in Korea, when you apply for a job, your picture has to be on your resume. I remember one of my friends, you know, he's not here anymore in Korea, but at the time I asked him, hey, Nick, shout out to you, Nick, if you're watching, can you get me in touch with your boss? And, you know, I didn't hear back from his boss. And after like 3 or 4 days, I texted him and I said, hey, why didn't your boss reach out? Turns out he has his boss, and he said, oh, my boss wants to see how you look like. So in Korea, they put a lot of emphasis on appearance, and so therefore, people are very insecure about that. And so, where I come from, or quite frankly anywhere, I mean, looking good matters. But here, it's like on a whole nother level. That's for like another video for another time where you go more deeply into that. But they really care about appearance a lot here. And I think women have more pressure. But men definitely feel to some extent. Because if you look at BTS, like they all look the same. Like perfect face, perfect nose, perfect facial structure. That's plastic surgery for you. So once again, I think women have more pressure, but I digress. They put a little too much emphasis on appearance here. So if you're somebody who cares about how you look and you're insecure about your appearance, living in Korea might be hard for you. If you're someone who doesn't really care about how you look and you're not insecure about that, then it won't really affect you much. Anyway, those are just my top 5 things that I find fascinating about Korean culture from an American perspective. I want to make more videos on Korea because, let's face it, I live somewhere where many people are interested. So, hope everyone has a good day, and Lake Handshake will come back at you with another video soon. Thank you for watching this video. Please subscribe to my channel. Every subscription helps, and I promise you every subscription gives me a thankful heart. Please comment if you have any personal experience of yours in South Korea that you'd like to share, speak about, and I am excited to interact with all of you. So leave a like, share this video, subscribe to my channel, and let's have a good time together. Blake Handshake will be back at you soon with another video.